Christians have always experienced some form of persecution. Estimates indicate that in the last 100 years, more people have died for their faith in Jesus than the previous 1900 years combined. The pressure to deny Christ is already happening here in America. The persecution might not be as intense as what early Christians went through during the days of ancient Rome, or what is happening currently in places like Sudan, China, or other Islamic regions in the Middle East, or even what you read about in the book of Daniel. But we're living in a day where Christians or those seeking biblical truth are going to have to make some serious decisions in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. I truly believe that the key is going forward in our faith with Jesus for this generation and the generations to come happens when we have deep convictions to continually trust God and determine in our hearts to be faithful to God, even if our circumstances never change in the days we're living in today or even in our future. Even though that situation might be here and now, I want to take you to the then and there found in Daniel 3. Now, in Babylon's religious culture, statues were frequently worshipped. King Nebuchadnezzar realized that there were so many of them, he decided to make one big statue. He figured by doing this that he could unite the country by developing a centralized worship system to this golden image. By doing this, Nebuchadnezzar showed that his devotion to Daniel's God would be short-lived. So a decree was made. Now, when you hear the word decree, it's an authoritative order having the force of law that was decided by the king, and once enforced, if not upheld, those who broke the decree were punished. The decree was made that every leader, governor, judge, treasurer, prince, and law enforcement officer, and people from all nations speaking different languages were to bow down at the sound of the music and bow down and worship the golden image. If they chose not to, they would be immediately thrown into a fiery furnace. No chance at a fair trial. No lawyer would be given to represent you in a court of law. No rights to remain what would be declared from the law enforcement officials. The ultimate was to do what you were told or you would die. But 3 Jewish men decided to go against the flow and do the opposite of what was expected of everyone to do by law. And here's what I have discovered. When you make a decision to stand up for God and His ways, you will go against popular opinion. Daniel 3:4-6 says, Then they heard loudly proclaimed to you, the command is given, O people, nations, and men of every language, that at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the trigon, the psaltery, the bagpipe, and all kinds of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. But whoever does not fall down or worship shall immediately be cast into the midst of a furnace of blazing fire. Always remember, when you stand up for God, you will usually stand out. And when you make a decision to stand up for God, it might not be what you want it to look like or necessarily have a happy ending. But choose to always make the right decision. Joshua 24:15 says, If it is disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourself today who you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served, which was beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Are you willing to make this your motto? If God helps me or not in my troubled times, I will trust Him, I will serve Him, I will live for Him above all else. In Daniel 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in a crisis of a lifetime, a hopeless circumstance that needed nothing short of a miracle to survive. Church, when it comes to standing up for God, you first need to be totally committed to Him. God knows how deceptive our hearts can be. He knows that many might be willing to acknowledge Him as Lord, but are not willing to commit their lives into His hands. You know, most people at the sound of my voice can believe that Jesus is God and that He is your Savior, but it's quite another thing to commit everything you are and have to Him. The word commit means to entrust or give charge of. When you commit your life 100% to God, you're choosing to give your entire life completely to Him, entrusting your whole being to His care. And in Daniel 3, we see 3 men who are now going against popular opinion because they are standing up for God. I want to encourage you to make the ultimate decision now to trust God during these troubled times we're living in, no matter what comes your way, because if God is for you, who can come against you? No one. Nada. Thanks for taking time out of your day, and I hope you can join us on Thursday, June 25th, as we continue our discussion on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. God bless you. Have a great day.